Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, dear contributors to peace and humanity, I'm in my duty executing Dayton. But Dayton is not only a treaty. So if you allow, at this time in the evening, I would refer again to the saxophone. It's not only, and I may say this as somebody who has worked a long time in Berlin in political responsibility, you go to Käthe-Kollwitz-Platz and you find there a restaurant where you can get the memories of Bill Clinton playing the saxophone. What links Berlin and other places to Sarajevo? Go to Sarajevo and you will find in the middle of the Osmanic Old Town the Bashashia restaurant, a Bosnian restaurant, where they also praise a saxophone and its player. What do they have in common? They remember that this was not a usual saxophone player. This was the sound of peace and humanity. And may I say, on behalf of the younger generation, as President Osmani referred to these 30 years later, where the young generation grew up without violence, without war, without siege, that this is up to now a token of all those standing and walking and living in this area, that there is a promise, the promise of justice and the promise of rule of law. Thank you. People are unsure in these days in Bosnia and Herzegovina. We see attempts of secession, which are linked to political game which does not compete anyhow with the requirements of values and of the Dayton Peace Agreement. First, I would like to thank you that you, your team, worked together, the Europeans, but basically led by Warren Christopher and the wonderful good friend we all have here as well in Berlin, Dick Holbrook. They did somehow, may I say, a little bit American-style constitution, Annex 4, checks and balances. Yes, you need them. What we have to see, and this experience is not only in Bosnia-Herzegovina, that we have to check that checks and balances are not used as blockade instrument. Unfortunately, this is the case. What is the solution? Rule of law. You have fixed with Article 6 of Annex 4 of the Dayton GFAP, so you understand it's a little bit complicated to look in the Bosnian situation. What is in the Constitutional Court? The Constitutional Court has the last decision, and me and additional cases as the High Representative who has the last right of interpretation on the ground, in the field, about decisions together with my twin commanding the U4 Formas for forces in their decision about keeping peace and giving the sure, reliable promise to people, this will never happen again. And I may say, yes, it's a challenge. Normally, I should stay here as a former High Representative, because this position should be off already, because it should be full part of European integration. It's not yet. We are working on this. Mr. President, I may promise you that the path is right. We will continue with a strong commitment of international community. I have to say, I was very impressed that the international community was never close to this in the last years as it is now, including Europe and America. Let us thank for this, and let us hope that we work on this with a lot of development and good success. Coming just to the key, this is rule of law, respecting what courts, what legislation is doing, but it means as well respecting the other. It means reconciliation, social coherence. And I may report to you that among all problems which we have not yet solved, different curricula at school and so on, that the 27th of January last year in Srebrenica, the Grand Mufti, the Reis al-Ulema, and the head of the Jewish community in Sarajevo, they met under the assistance of European Union and my position to sign a letter of understanding and cooperation and having exchange about what has happened and what should not happen again. So it is remarkable to say this, that there are cities where the one visits on this 8th of October after the disaster we have seen in the Middle East, one the other having a cup of coffee and thinking about common future. This is good news, not only good news. I want to conclude my quoting with a message you, Mr. President, gave to the people in Sarajevo in your famous speech in December 1997. You said, "The real differences around the world today are not between Jews and Arabs, Protestants and Catholics, Muslims, Croats and Serbs. The real differences are between those who embrace peace and those who would destroy it, between those who look to the future and those who cling to the past, between those who open their arms to their neighbors and those who are determined to clench their fists." End of quote. This is our duty to fulfill the better of the world. Thank you, Mr. President, for your incredible work.